let's just get started with it and see where this goes. Spirit, angels, ancestors, guides for our Cancer collective. What do they need to know for their highest good? Within their relationships and for spiritual growth. So the first one out is the door to spirit. It's the 32 card. 3 and 2 together make 5. And when I think about the door to spirit opening, every time that I have been made to pretty much slow down in my life has been when things happened. With that number 5 in there, it makes me feel like there could be some contention that may happen in some area of your life right now, or it recently did happen. Yeah. So it could be something that happens energetically, like in your mind, or it could be something that happens within your parameter, in your reality. But there'll be messages that if you're quiet and you do reflection, you will be able to notice the door to spirit, and you'll be able to hear or see the message in some way. Also, no coincidence here, the number 5 with the attachment card comes out. So you may have an attachment to something, person, place, or thing right now that is creating contention in your life in some way. It may be coming at you from different directions. It's going to require you to remove a mask that you might have been wearing for a long time. And I just heard pull the future from the bottom of the deck. There it is. Hostilities. Could be around work. Could be a way of feeling the things that we've been working on, or something that could make us feel trapped, or like it's something that we can't easily get out of. It could be hostilities in communication. Understand there are adjacent possibilities. You probably have more support than you realize. Support? Is that the word? Yeah. Support. You probably have more support than you realize. Let's pull from the Moonology and see what we're supposed to be learning from this at the moment. All right, let's further these messages for our Cancer collective. What information do they need to know from the Moonology? Spirit, angels, ancestors, guides for Cancer. You and your loved ones are safe with the new moon in Cancer. There may be things that manifest in this moment or out of these hostilities that will allow you to finally see what the adjacent possibilities are. And I feel like I want to put that on the attachment. And I just did a channel message that talked about attachment. But another thing that I have been paying attention to is I keep hearing this word limerence. It's come up a few times in different things. And limerence is when is basically an attachment. Sometimes it feels like love, but it isn't always that. And there's distinct differences. I urge you to Google that. And I may end up doing a video on limerence versus love, because I've experienced them. And sometimes I question, now that I've experienced limerence and I was able to identify what it was, then now I'm realizing the difference in real love and limerence now. And sometimes we can have limerence with multiple things in our life, and it comes from loss usually. And with that attachment being there, you may be worried about your loved one's safety, whoever they may be. With the new moon in Cancer, there may be some new things that come up, because right now, you know, Saturn is in Aquarius, the sun is in Aquarius, and when sun's in Aquarius, and that's today, I don't know how long it's going to stay there, but with the sun being in Aquarius, it's innovative. It's a call for independence, but also humanitarianism. So to be a humanitarian, you give people a leg up, or you help people out, but you don't do it for them. They're required to be innovative within their independence, and it helps you help others break boundaries with that. But when Saturn is in Aquarius, there can be it can create societal change, but it's going to be disciplined and structured. Okay. And Mars today is in Cancer, so there's intense emotion and protection of family around this, and so it may cause us to have hostilities with people who aren't in our closest family units. So beware of that. There are adjacent possibilities to create a change in whatever's going on. It may have something to do with attachment. So we're being asked to look at the bigger picture with the Sagittarian energy. You could be dealing with a Cancer, or this may be you, or you could be dealing with a Sagittarius as well. Or it could just be that energy of truth. Also, today the moon is in Scorpio. So there's going to be intense passion. People are deeply emotional, but they're also secretive. But it can be very transformational if we're open to it. Okay? Let's pull a little tarot on what's going on within these cards and see if we can get some more information for Cancer. Spirit, angels, ancestors, guides for our Cancer collective. What's happening right now could feel very overwhelming. It may feel like an overload. Show me this door to Spirit. Yep, there's some very defensive energy. Somebody wants to scream from the inside here. And it could be something from the outside. It's taking a lot of strength. Yes, the Leo energy is being called upon. She's trying to tame that bear. You may be trying to tame that internal bear to keep you from doing things on the outside that you may feel like you regret. But sometimes you get pushed to a limit, and when you do, you won't have a choice but to just scream, you know. And maybe sometimes that's supposed to happen. Yeah, it's going to create, there's the Death card, Scorpio energy. It's going to create change. Okay. What do they need to know about this attachment? With the 5 card in the current, There's the devil, Capricorn energy. What kind of habits do we have here in this scenario that keep us attached to things that aren't necessarily for our highest good? And are we able to recognize those things? Can you see where we may have enabled either ourselves or others to be in a certain way? What do they need to know about that, Spirit, angels, ancestors, guides? Keeping that blindfold on. The Four of Pentacles is also holding on tight. That's also an attachment card. But, you know, there's a lot of fear behind that. You know, we're just trying to smell the goodness of what we've got, but we can't see that there's more that we can have. But we got to take the blindfold off. What are we blind to right here, Spirit? Help us see what we're supposed to look at here. Yeah, see, over here, we can't see this Nine of Pentacles, but there's 9 more Pentacles here. You can actually be further along in a process than what you realize, and you just can't see it at the moment. The Empress, the mother, the wife, the business owner. She balances in her feminine energy, so she's able to receive and sit comfortably. The Empress don't have to worry so much because her coins are in order and all that. But if you're not in that Empress energy, you can become dependent on an Empress if you're not careful. Or you can lean too much into your feminine energy, with Capricorn being here, telling us that there needs to be a balance of the masculine too. So the hostilities come in that pull that out of us, that make us go forward and be more assertive. What's this hostilities? There's Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Again, there's a lot of fire energy here. So that's somebody's hot-blooded. Hot-blooded. And there's that 8 of Swords falling out on that card that comes to an 8. What did I say? And somebody feels trapped. But there's some wisdom to be learned when we're having to sit still. You feel like you can't go forwards, you can't go backwards. I'm also getting a feeling that someone is really, really highly self-confident, sometimes overconfident in this case, with the hostilities. Or your confidence is irritating somebody's fire. Throwing gasoline on a fire for somebody who can't get out, you know? What are the adjacent possibilities? Love. Bring some love into this scenario. The Queen of Cups is here, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. How can they do that? You got to make the decision. Somebody here needs to make the decision to bring love into the scenario. There's the Emperor. By bringing love, being open to love, then you can cultivate more of that. Asking you to bring that energy and to slow things down a little bit with the Knight of Pentacles. You can count on the Knight of Pentacles because he's dependable. He comes sometimes is slow when he comes, but he comes and you know that he's coming. You got to look at the bigger picture though. You and your loved ones are safe. Here's that 8 again with the 8 of Wands. So what I'm seeing coming up in the future with that 8 of Wands being here and the 8 being here and the 6 being here is we're teetering back and forth between making progress, 1 step forward and 2 steps back sometimes. And we keep getting to the 8 and we can't seem to go anywhere past that. And if you want to break out of that cycle, what do they need to do to break out of that cycle, Spirit? Communication is one. Temperance. Patience. Patience with what? The waiting. Sometimes you're being set still for a purpose, because that's the door to the spirit. Okay? And it's hard to sit still. It creates a lot of tension of that. But there's a partnership, and there's that Aquarian energy with the star that brings in the healing. There's Aries energy. Somebody may take a leap of faith here and offer some help with love in some way. We know there's been some deception here, or you may face a little bit of that. There's a dragon in the camp. Something may happen that something either did happen or may happen. I don't know where you're at on the timeline. It happened in the dark. It came like a real swift at night. There, you couldn't see it coming, but it was coming because there was something hidden around it. Then the King of Cups comes in and shows love and compassion here, and it brings an end to a cycle. So bringing love into the scenario creates change. When we are not committed, or we have a lack of follow through, that creates pain. And it can push the wheel of fortune in a direction that not necessarily always goes in your favor. But when the wheel of fortune turns, whether it goes in your favor or not, the thing is to be able to reflect on the wheel, which way it turned, and it can bring about new ideas, new innovative change. She's pregnant in here. That's the Empress sitting here. She's pregnant. Just feeding her chickens with her loyal dog, right? And when we are able to see that and recognize that, we can stand up in more of our own empowerment with the King of Wands. And that's when we can create growth. Some of it you might not be able to see right now, but there is commitment. There is higher learning here. Somebody will level up in this, in their commitments, in their marriage, and then they'll be able to manifest from a new space. And if we did it right, we're going to learn from that. We're going to take that mask off, and we're going to begin to see innovation going forward for whoever is watching out here right now. So that's really good. Let's see what the message from the animal spirit guides are for today, for Cancer. Spirit, angels, ancestors, guides for Cancer. You got the snow leopard. Take some time out of your usual life and spend it in solitude. And the experiences that you're presently going through are an initiation into fulfilling your purpose as a healer. Sometimes when we become karma for someone, or when somebody karmically crosses our path, that is you essentially being a healer. We heal through pain sometimes, and that's unfortunate, but we live in a world where there's darkness and there's light. Let's read what the snow leopard says in the book. It says, it can be difficult these days to spend time in solitude. to unplug, get off the electronic grid, and find a place in or near nature. Yet it's important to do so at this time. You may have been feeling a lot of pressure from the outside, and it makes you just want to run off and be by yourself, to disappear. And that's something that you should listen to yourself about. When you start feeling that way, maybe it is time to disconnect, you know? Turn off the phone, computer, television, if only for a few hours. And although you may feel a little anxious and restless when you do, these feelings will pass, okay? So it's time to use the time for contemplation and meditation. It's not isolation, it's solitude, okay? Solitude is a conscious and loving choice to be alone for a period of time, while isolation is a habitual and reflexive coping pattern to avoid discomfort and intimacy. If possible, take a full day by yourself and just do whatever you feel like doing. Whatever length of time you spend in solitude, be sure to write as often as you can in your journal. If you feel guilty or anxious about the thought of doing this, or even while you're doing it, use your breath to help you relax as much as you possibly can during the period of alone time. Remind yourself to breathe and relax whenever you notice your breathing becoming shallow. Take 3 or 4 slow, deep breaths and watch how your tension and anxiety dissipate. Enjoy the feeling of having the sacred space of solitude surrounding you, and remember, you're never really alone. That's another reason why you guys see me in my car a lot, because this is a space where nobody bothers me. Nobody really bothers me. I can see the world outside, but when I'm in here, like, everything else is out there. And I can take in the environment without being in it, if that makes any sense. So, get in your car. It helps sometimes, you know. All right. So, in the rattlesnake was the other card that you got. Sneaky little snakes, right? The foundation for compassion is an awareness that suffering is a natural part of life. We're aware of that, right? Like I said, when we were talking about the door of the spirit, sometimes that pain, that frustration comes to a head. And it's supposed to create change, because if we stay stagnant, nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So, and which beings haven't at times felt the pain or sorrow that is an aspect of living on this planet. So the deeper you go into the soul of another, the more you can feel what they feel, yet paradoxically maintain a certain distance or objectivity, right? So a true healer must heal from the heart. No matter what technological, logistical, physical, or shamanic tools they use, the experiences that you're going through now or have just completed are all a preparation for you to open your heart to the suffering around you and do your part in alleviating it. You'll find that you're increasingly being asked to offer your time and energy to help heal others. So including not only people, but also animals, plant beings, tree people, and ultimately our Earth Mother. Some of this healing power will also go to mend the rifts that exist between races, ethnicities, and other species. You'll notice more and more how often your hands will spontaneously feel energized, experiencing it as heat or tingling sensation. This is the power of spirit working through you. Allow it to guide you in whatever the focus of your healing is, whether simply placing a hand on the shoulder of a friend or more extensively and directly involving yourself in another being's health. So, the time that you spend in solitude right now could be the moment that you begin to do a reflection on the things that have just taken place that created a contention. And this is when you're going to be able to finally see the adjacent possibilities and what your part to play in being that healer is. This is your initiation. And there's no coincidence that right here on the bottom, right under the adjacent possibilities, is what? The healer of all ages. Remember I said there's more support than you realize? There it is. There's the number 6 again. Both of these equal the number 6. 6 and 6, right? So, yes, There, you might have thought you were at the 8. You're not really stuck. You got to recognize your other resources around you. So it's time to get creative, and with discipline and structure, use your creativity to create another way to maybe not enable, but to help guide, lift, and create healing for whatever this contention was back here. That's how expansion works. And that's what you're being called to do. You got to take off that mask and do a little deep dive within yourself so you can help catapult someone else forward. So it's a time to give a little bit. But first, you have to give to yourself. So if you're being pulled in all these different directions and that contention's happening, it's time to go within, hit the reset button so you have the energy back for yourself to give out, to be the healer that you're being called to be, the healer of all ages. And we all know that our higher power, or whoever you look to as your higher power, is the place to get that strength, because you're going to need it. You're going to need temperance. You're going to need strength for what's coming up ahead. Okay? All right. So that is your reading, Cancer. Thank you for coming. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, love and light to you and yours.